earlier, like moments ago, I made a distinction between religion and institutional religion. So the first part of our question, why is America so religious, essentially, is really speaking about institutional religion. But in answering the second part, are UUs considered part of that? I found an opportunity to reflect on religion on a more fundamental level. So we need to ask ourselves, what actually is religion? It's a question that I've asked myself for quite a long time. And in fact, I came to my understanding of the word as an undergraduate, majoring in comparative religious studies. I focused at first on Eastern religion, particularly Buddhism and Taoism, and then explored Native American religious traditions and understandings, and wound up widening the lens as far as I could. I found that religion is not always about God and gods, but is always about identity. It is not always about the supernatural, but is always about the sacred. It is not always about dogma, but it is always about perspective. It is not always about belief, but is always about meaning. These are actually quite similar. And it is certainly not always about institutions. I'm not alone in this understanding. In fact, the late preeminent sociologist of religion in our age agrees with me, though I don't think he ever knew it. Robert Bellah wrote, "Religion is a system of symbols which, when enacted by human beings, establishes powerful, pervasive, and long-lasting moods and motivations that make sense in terms of an idea of a general order of existence." Now, if I was an academic, that's the sermon that's how it would be written, okay? Religion is a system of symbols which, when enacted by human beings, establishes a powerful, pervasive, and long-lasting moods and motivations that make sense in terms of an idea of a general order of existence. By the way, words are symbols, and we understand only with language, and so there is a profound observation in the opening sentences of that most new age of the Gospels, that of John, when he says, "In the beginning was the Word." I love that. Anyway, I will take Bellah a step further and suggest that humans are religious like we breathe. I think, therefore, I am religious. Humans are homo-religious. We are the religious animal, the religious being. Because we have self-consciousness, we are religious. We make meaning. We make, and then we sustain, and then we change meaning. Given that meaning is systemic and symbolic, to me, this is the province of religiosity. It is also, for humans, automatic. We are religious, whether we like it or not. So believe it or not, this makes me an existentialist. And I love being an existentialist that claims that humans are, by virtue of their humanity, religious. You see, if humans make meaning, that means that meaning is not given. Meaning does not come from God, which incidentally does not mean that I do not believe in God, but does absolutely qualify the types of God available for me to believe in. So this notion also informs my definition of God, by the way, which we've discussed before. God, for me, is grace-given human dimension. Another way to think about that is God is the interconnected web of existence given human dimension. This understanding of religion was developed by studying a variety of traditions. The key word being traditions. Each of the traditions that avail themselves to study developed in a more or less homogeneous environment, right? So all the world religions developed in more or less homogeneous environments, not pluralistic societies. In a homogeneous environment, meaning is worked out of the context of the tradition that it produced. So this is not our current environment. We live in a postmodern, wildly pluralistic culture, and because of some truly poor decisions and unsatisfying understandings perpetuated by many of the traditions, a whole half of our country are now left to work out meaning outside of intentional community, or in communities with little practice or intention around meaning making. Right? So we have 50% of people who don't go to church. Churches made some bad decisions. Institutional religion made some bad decisions. Came to some bizarre understandings that don't hold up. And now we have half of our country that doesn't participate in meaning making outside of going to the movies. Certainly not an intentional community gathered around that effort. So that's not always damning, right? To not go to church. But it is often dangerous, actually, to set yourself the task of maintaining and changing meaning. It gets into that self-reference that could eventually lead to narcissism. Not to say that, and I've already said that institutional religions have certainly made their mistakes too. So we have to discern wisely. Now the question the lucky sermon winner wanted me to answer was whether or not I thought Unitarian Universalism is a religion. So a religion is then an institutionalized organization of intentional meaning makers, maintainers, and changers, and therefore we are absolutely a religion. We are, in fact, a deeply rich and beautiful tradition of making, maintaining, and evolving meaning. And within that tradition, accountable to that tradition, we gather in community for solace, for learning, to be challenged and accepted, to love and to be loved. We gather in covenant to welcome and care for and inspire so that we can transform ourselves and our world through love, justice, and peace. We each bring our unique gifts into this shared endeavor in order to let them simmer together, influence one another, and produce a delicious stew of meaning and value where every bite is different, though it all comes from the same pot. Speaking of pot, how's your cat, Lisa? Oh, it's a dog? Dog's okay? Lisa's dog ate all of her pot. Oh, I forget. It wasn't yours, right? So I forgot the story, but I know Lisa, right? And I know what she's bringing to our stew. All legal. It's all legal. Maybe it's the dog. Yeah. Probably not. Hope not. I know that Lisa brings deep spirit and earnest intent and humor and some pain and some care and hopefully some forgiveness. So the world we want starts here. Our religion, our meaning making, meaning maintenance, and meaning evolution occur here. And around that core and through that core swirls dinner parties and theater outings and activism and poetry and music and new visions of the service bulletin. This is an attempt to foster the beloved community by improving both our worship, our information dissemination, and our reach. And I say our reach because it's designed with the hope that you will take it home, that visitors taking it home will have our mission, vision, and covenant and principles and sources all right here to review so they know who we are and know where they've been. And for that matter, members will now always have all of these things with them. Our principles and sources are not readily visible anywhere in this building or in the other building, at least not prominently, and now they are here and they are at home. Plus, you have little thought prompts, places where you can record your own thoughts and considerations if you wish. And there are events, so we're building the beloved community, right? And we're still doing e-flashes and newsletters too. So there's more information about what you see here online. But this is an ember of our beloved community. This is a carrot from our stew. It's purely metaphorical, right? Don't eat it. It's a stew, by the way, that strikes a nice balance between the institution and the individual. I think that's one of the reasons why Unitarian Universalism is getting it right and why we offer great hope for the world and for each other. However, this does not make for an easy faith. We do not provide ready answers. Unitarian Universalism is not an easy religion, which I think is a great recommendation. And so for this walk, it is good that we have one another. It is good that we have our covenant, and it is good that we are so delicious. We build the beloved community by being called forth by the beloved community that we dream of, by fashioning a place, this place, our next place, wherever we gather, where we are invited to be our best selves.